Hello everybody, hope you're doing really well. Today I am of course in Rochester and I'm on my way to go to Restoration House. In fact, I'm going through Bowley Hill to go to the Vines and then go through to Restoration House that way. I've been kindly invited to help record and document the air raid shelter that is on their site. It's never been filmed before and I'm so excited to take you with me. So what are we waiting for? Let's go, come on. Well, hello everybody. We've made it here to Restoration House in Rochester, and I've got to say before we even start filming this properly, how incredible an opportunity I've had to film this today. This is the first time I think this has ever been video documented ever. So the fact of the matter is, this is really unique and it's really special. And I just want to massively say, and I'll probably say this throughout the video as we sort of like go through, but a huge thank you to Robert, who is the owner of Restoration House. He's kindly shown me around the beautiful gardens here, and I feel like a kid at Christmas, to be honest with you. I was absolutely spoiled. But today we are here to check out this wonderful, unique, special air raid shelter that is actually quite a mystery in a lot of ways, because really the historical record is very brief. It just mentions that there's an air raid shelter. Apart from that, nothing else. So me and Robert were talking to each other. The family who owned this at the time of when this would have been around were the Mackeys, and hopefully I've said that correctly. And they were the family who were literally living in Restoration House and owning the property around here at the time when this was being built, and we assume that this would have been their own private air raid shelter during World War II. And when you look inside, you'll understand why it's a very special and actually slightly smaller than you can imagine type of air raid shelter. So let's go inside. I think it's really important that we do that, and come on, let's go. And so here we are. It is literally this. It's absolutely tiny. Beautiful concrete, as you can see. And obviously it's now being used for the gardener or gardeners in this instance. Tiny, tiny, tiny. No escape hatch and no other indication that it stretches beyond this. But we assume that there's probably more likely going to be a couple of bunk beds in here. So basically, in essence, as a sort of pre sort of like summation, that this probably would have been a concrete form of a Stanton shelter, being polite. So in other words, because this was private, it's prefabricated, and obviously it's just designed solely for the family who occupied, like I said, namely the Mackey family. Again, huge apologies if I've pronounced that wrong at any point. But isn't it fascinating, this beautiful bit of history? Obviously we can now take away this stuff. there's a light switch, as you can see. So it means I don't need a torch, which is brilliant. And obviously we can see all the gardening utensils, but equipment, sorry, utensils. I'm not in the kitchen. I'm actually speechless that I've had this opportunity to do this. And I'm honestly humbled by Robert for allowing me access to do this. It was a beautiful conversation that we had, and it was really lovely. The only other thing that's here is this, and I wonder if we think that that's a vent from on the top, because if you look at the top, there's a little drain that's there, and we assume that might be for the airflow. So like a little air vent, really, which makes sense, because when you come round here, when you shut this door, you are properly sealed in, and that's it. So remarkable, really. Let's open that door again, and the beautiful steps that lead their way down. It's just, I mean, the thing is that they would have had the money to do this. So in essence, you know, there are occasions when you do see these private air raid shelters. So this is what we're putting it down to, and because of its size, it could easily fit the family in here, and you can imagine them just sort of all sitting in here as the bombs were going over, or the doodle bugs, for example, in Rochester, hitting, causing any potential damage. It's quite far enough at the rear of the garden that it's going to be out of the way. And then behind us, essentially, would be the brewery on the sort of opposite side of that. But it's just, it's absolutely spectacular. Condition, actually, believe it or not, when you're actually in here, is really good, considering. And like I said, I've genuinely tried to do as much research on this as possible, and I've not found anything to suggest that it's military based. We also know that by speaking to Robert as well, that when he was doing stuff, that we couldn't find any notion of this being requisitioned by the military at any time. So again, this leads us back to the argument that this is probably a private shelter for the family who were here. But remarkable. And again, we know that stuff like this was not uncommon, that families, mansions and everything else wouldn't not have their own private shelters. And it is just a remarkable piece of history that still survives. And even though it's tiny, like I said, it's the stories that this place contains which are literally the most important thing about it. And again, it just, you know, it's not hard to imagine people just sitting here on these benches that might have been or might not have been here, or little bunk beds, for example, and just to sort of be out of the way of where the bombs would have potentially been landing over Rochester. Although there wasn't, you know, Rochester didn't really get majorly hit in that instance, but obviously there still needed some form of protection around here. In fact, Restoration House itself did get hit, from Robert telling me there was a little bit of bomb damage from a couple of the windows, which actually were restored, and fascinating, really. So there was evidence of a bomb dropping not too far away from here, but remarkable, really. And then what they've done is they've incorporated this beautiful wooden roof as part of the garden, and I'm honestly so humbled and so grateful by this opportunity. It's simply brilliant, and hopefully you're enjoying it as well. The fact of this is the first time that we know of that, well, we know this has ever been recorded properly, because actually, God bless the gardener as well. I just want to say a massive thank you to him. He's properly cleaned this out. When coming in here, there was lots of Hessian bags. Obviously it's used for gardening, so, you know, why wouldn't you? And again, as we said before, it's not the first time that we on this channel have visited private residents or private places where they have used their air raid shelters for storage, really, because why not? You know, I mean, they're not going to expect somebody like me to come and knock on their door and go, excuse me, can I just take a look at your air raid shelter? And then go, oh, actually, it's used as garden storage or whatever. But we've seen that in a few things before on our channel. So if you're familiar with my channel, then you'll see that some air raid shelters have been used for that similar purpose. But remarkable. Yeah, and that's it, everybody. I'll take you outside and I'll show you around, because I think that's really important. And apart from that, I think we're pretty much done. But really, really cool, isn't it? Really is. can imagine you feel quite safe in here, can't you? Let's get out, come on. Now made it out of the air raid shelter, and I want to sort of show you what the air raid shelter looks like from the top level. Really, it's remarkable. It's the mound that actually looks bigger than it is, but in fact it's half the size of that mound that stretches across, and it's actually remarkable to sort of like think about that, because at first viewing I thought that it was actually quite a substantial shelter that actually traversed quite a long, but seeing the size of it and how small it is, it really does highlight how unique this place is and how customised, shall we politely say, this type of shelter is. Like we said before, our only summation is that this was the air raid shelter for the family. There's literally nothing else that I can find on this, and so we're gonna obviously go with that. And obviously, like I said, by chatting to Robert, his summation, his ideas about this place are pretty much time with mine, which is fantastic. But it's just brilliant. So yeah, this is just one of these sort of crazy places where you just sort of like have to sort of like pinch yourself and think how lucky I've had the opportunity to be here to actually film this and to show you out there, more importantly. And I think really that's the most important thing, really, is that I totally encourage you to come down here to Restoration House and just check out the history of this place. So this was obviously medieval really in its origin, and then what happened during the 1600s was it was two separate buildings that joined together, and I was again very humbled that Robert gave me some amazing history behind it as well, and the famous owners that have owned this place. I won't say any more about that. I think you need to do your own research on that, because somebody of my generation might remember a certain person who resided in this place before Robert had taken this place over. I'll keep that one for you lot to research on that. It's quite fascinating, really. But it was from my generation-ish. But yeah, I'll leave you to guess on that one. But yeah, what a beautiful place. What a beautiful day to actually come out here and actually record this. So yeah, thank you so much for coming along with me. It really means a lot, and hopefully you've really enjoyed this brief little video on this wonderful little hidden air raid shelter. I just want to say thank you so much to Robert and his kindness, more importantly, and the rest of the staff, especially for the gardener. Bless him for cleaning it out for us. It really means a lot, and I really hope that you come down to Restoration House in Medway, take a look at the house itself, and cheekily just sort of have a look at the entrance. Obviously I don't think there will be access, but you can see the front of it, and you can always note that that was what it was inside. Feel free to spread the word of the channel. Much love to all of you out there, and because history matters, and it just does, doesn't it, on a place like this. Genuinely so humbled and privileged about that. But yeah, take care everybody. Ready? Kapow.